Welcome to P&W Repair. Join us for the first time. I'm Andy. Today on the channel we will be tackling reinstalling our Perkins D3.152 remanufactured engine back into our 1984 Lincoln SA250 welder. Hang out, we'll get after it. I went ahead and got going on a crucial step off camera here. I'll just go around and explain what I did here because I don't know that you're going to find any videos on this particular subject. Now, the issue that arises when reinstalling an armature into a generator is how do you hold, well in our case here, 8 individual brushes to where that armature can slide in, and then we can release spring pressure back onto the brushes and then collapse back onto the armature. Especially when the armature has to be bolted to the back of that engine to even install it. Well, how I go about doing that, whether or not it's the right way, I don't know, it's just how I do it. Yes, I'm sure you could take each individual brush bridge off and reinstall them after everything's in there. But what I do is crack all 4 bolts loose for each individual bridge. There's 2 on this side, 2 on the other. And then I will slide them out. I guess you can kind of see in there. Focus. I'll slide them out of this plate, and I'll lock them down as far out on that plate as I can without actually pulling them out of the plate. From there, I'll take 2 zip ties per bridge, and I will push the brush up into the holder, and I'll wrap a zip tie around them. 8 in total, 2 on each bridge. So from the front here, you can kind of see that. So there's just zip ties holding the brushes in their holders, and I have those pulled out. You can see those notches where there's still the red primer there, and it's clean. They do sit that far in, so this will give us ample room for this section of our armature to slide in there. This is what actually rides against those brushes. So figured I'd go over that before we get any further with it. That's how I hold them. Right or wrong, don't know, but that's how I do it. Our next step here, we're going to go ahead. I have a messed up drain plug there, and these are pretty much impossible to change the oil on these machines if they're just sitting on a truck bed or whatever. You have no way to get under it. It's too close to the bottom of this frame. So I ended up getting, is this it? Sure is. Easy Drain oil kit. I think this came off eBay. And this is for 3/4 16 drain plug. Part number on that 3070380. And that is MPI. It's the brand. So what this is an oil drain hose to relocate the drain for your oil pan. I think this one's actually designed for, I'm trying to remember what it was advertised as. I want to say it was like a Packard engine of some sort. Some Packard engine in a Volvo or something rather. But we're going to go ahead and drain the little bit of oil that's in the pan out and install that now. That's going to end up going under the generator and out to the front of the machine at the control panel somewhere down here to where we can simply drain our oil there. Make things a whole lot easier. And then, you know, maybe it would get serviced by whoever ends up with this machine in the future, rather than running the same oil for 40 years and blowing the motor up. Wouldn't that be something? So we're going to go ahead and install that, and then we got to get it off the engine stand so we can reinstall the flywheel, followed by the armature. So I'm going to get you guys on the tripod, and that's what we're doing next. Have our adapter, our sealing washer, let's get one of them. Kind of like that. Well, right in there, would you? There it is. Well, our bottom two bolts on the stand are out, so I'm going to take some tension off of the stand here. Well, it's just not going to want to cooperate. So here's what we're going to do. Of course it's going to twist. Why wouldn't it? Hindsight, I probably shouldn't have saved that particular bolt for the last, because I've got a whole bunch of washers sitting on it. Must have been a little too long. There we are. And it's free. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to index it exactly how it was on there. The way I'm going to do that, there's this hole right here that obviously doesn't match any of the other threaded holes. Well, I can see in the crustiness on this where that was. 6 o'clock, just like it is currently. Oops. Yeah, that's going to be a fun time, isn't it? Just stay there long enough. I get some threads. Whew. But I tell you what, that's a workout. So being that I didn't go over it in the last engine assembly video, I might as well show it now. In order to torque this crankshaft, because I believe the torque spec was 250 foot-pounds. So in order to torque the pulley, I made a spanner wrench, simple enough, just some holes in a piece of flat bar, welded to a piece of tube. That piece of tube is now resting on the ground there. When I come back and, righty-tighty torque these flywheel bolts, that's going to rotate the engine clockwise. Well, being that I have it set up as I do, it's going to be rotating that bar right in the ground. So it shouldn't rotate much at all, and I should be able to get 80 foot-pounds on these with pretty little effort. Well, how loose is that bolt? I'm going to actually go around and snug all 6 of them up before I torque. Just get them to seat. Kind of hard with it hanging by a chain, but we're gonna make do. I'm gonna try to hold the front of the engine, have some pressure on that. You've ever picked up one of these armatures? You know that it's not light, and trying to engage how that locks into the back of the flywheel with this thing just sitting on a cherry picker like this Yeah, I'm not He-Manning that and throwing my back out. Especially when we have conveniently located where it is a forklift. I don't have a torque spec on these particular bolts, so I'm going to go with 70 foot-pounds. Sounds good. Went ahead and cleaned all the old grease out of the bearing cup in there and plastered it full of some new stuff. So she'll have fresh grease going back together too for armature bearing. What a treat. Well, I wish I could remember how I actually removed it. I suppose I could go back and do the footage, but we're gonna try how I have it currently set up. I've actually removed one of the legs.
You mean you'll work on engines and machinery and not think of your own personal safety? Here, shake hands with danger. Shake hands with danger.
From the cherry picker, so we're shaking hands with danger, but we're almost there, so it's not like it's gonna fall anywhere. Man, I don't think that's gonna work. How am I gonna do this? Unless I put, what can I put on the other end of this cherry picker to hold it down? Guess I could go grab the little tractor and it might fit in here with all this junk. Get the loader on it. Yeah, we're gonna have something pushed down on it, otherwise it's just twisting and it's not gonna work. Take two, little Yanny to the rescue. Where's the freaking handle, dude? Sitting over there. That's the problem. We're hitting the old, or we're real close to hitting it. The old air filter housing that I need to replace anyways because it's missing components. Let me pull that off. Unfortunately, the camera's battery died. I went ahead and finished this up off camera, at least as far as I was going to take it today. Really not a whole lot more to it from where we left off. I ended up finding, I had a whole box of 1.5 3/8 16 TPI bolts that were about a 1/2 inch longer. I think they were, the original ones that were in here were 1 inch. So I used these longer ones to suck it in the rest of the way, because originally let's see if we could see it. You're not gonna be able to see it. Originally, the armature bearing, where it slides into the bearing cup in there, it would go in so far and then didn't want to go in seated. It needed to be persuaded. So I actually used those bell housing bolts to suck it all the way in. So we have all the bell housing bolts in, and then from there I went around and put the motor mounts back on, and we set the motor back down, and that's all we're going to do for this video on it. Next one we'll get to actually wiring it and finish buttoning up the generator and whatnot. It is sitting back in its home, so it's great success. If you guys made it this far, I do appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps me out. Go ahead and share it if you liked it, and smash that thumbs up button. And until the next video, you guys have a good one.